I'm going to start work on Brenda's dress. So Brenda, this video is for you so you can see how we might decorate the skirt and add some more. I haven't decided yet what kind of a float I'll be doing. We could either go from the back of the neck to the wrist, or we could go further down to the waist of the dress, or lower down closer to where the skirt meets the bodice. I chose to use the black chiffon. That's not exactly a red. Reds are hard to match, but very sheer covering on the skirt. So that's what we're going to use. And when I went to the store today, I was able to find about 2 yards. So I don't have an exact yardage because this was the very end of the bolt. So I may have enough to do what I want to do, which is one float, and then also some vertical or cascading ruffles. I don't have enough fabric here to do the entire skirt, which I will do if I go to another store, but time is of the essence in getting this dress ready for the next competition. So what I'll plan to do right now is do a couple of flounces on the back of the dress, and then if she wants more, we'll go later and do all the godets with vertical or cascading ruffles. So the other supplies I have, if I had more time, I might make my own rosette for the back. But I found one at the fabric store that's in the same chiffon, so I'll use that. And I picked up a couple of decorative buttons, so I'll be using a button in the center of the rosette. So those are the materials that I need. She also wants more rhinestones on the dress, and we'll be doing that later. But I'll start with the fabric and a look at how we might change this dress and add to it. Now, this skirt I made for teaching and for milongas because I couldn't find a nice summer skirt that had the nice gauzy effect and the dancy skirt. So it's a circle. I'm scaring the birds. And then I've done these cascading ruffles. You can see how it looks hanging there. The ruffles give it a nice texture and they add movement to the skirt. And there are several ways to make these ruffles. These are simply made from a circle. You can also cut them out in a spiral. And here's the dress as it stands now. There's a very, very light fishing line in the bottom of the skirt. So I'm not sure if I'll use fishing line in the flounce or not. It's not really necessary because this is not extremely curly. But here is the color of the underskirt. It would be a very difficult color to match, and since the skirt on the top here is in the black chiffon and the bodice of the skirt is primarily black, that's the color we'll be going with. And you can see that there's plenty of room to add many more stones to this dress. Now, as I take a look at Brenda's dress, I can see here that she has a collar, and then she has a strappy opening in her back. I really don't want to cover that up. So I'm going to attach the float or put the clip. She wants to be able to remove this. Right now I have it pinned down from the opening of the back, close to where the flare of the skirt begins. And that's where we'll attach it on the back. You can see the shape of this piece. This is a piece that was left on the bolt, and it's already more narrow than the other piece I have. So it is in the shape of a parallelogram, which is perfect for the drape that I want. I'm going to give her just one float. They're dancing bronze and silver. We don't want so much going on that the dress looks like it's overdoing the dance style. And this float will have to go to the free arm, the lady's right arm, out to the side. I'll try to give you an idea here of what I'll be doing with this piece. If we take a look at the other piece of fabric, it's a bit wider So it doesn't hang exactly the same way. It's a little bit too thick, a little bit too heavy hanging down. I don't know if you can see all that in the camera. Similar, if I were making a scarf or the belly dance veil, we also use more of a parallelogram. We don't want something too square. It has to have enough length and the right width to it, depending on the height of the person. So the one that I have is perfect, and the edges will have to be finished, but the zigzag will be just fine. And this edge will be turned over to hide the edges there. So I'll do all 4 sides, and what I'll do is attach it to the back with a hook, because she wants to be able to remove that. And then it will go out and meet her wrist on the side of the dance frame. And we'll have to have a hook there too that she can detach it from that. But what I'm going to do is finish it and hook it onto the back, take it to the studio and let her try it on and see. I can attach, I'll just use this piece of fabric for the moment. I could attach this to the back of the dress and go all the way to the point and hang it this way. Or if we want an additional drape, I can move in 12-15 inches or so and create another scarf effect coming down from her wrist, which is what I think I will probably do. You can see again with the thickness of this piece of fabric, we're not getting as nice a drape as on the other piece. So what I'll do tonight is finish the edges and prepare everything so that she can try it on in the studio, and we can figure out exactly where to place it on the wrist and how much to drape down to see what it looks like when she's moving and when she's dancing. And then what's remaining of this material, I'll use this for the flounce on the back of the skirt, the cascading ruffles. Just rolling the very edge of this over and running a zigzag stitch to finish these edges. So trying to do this one-handed is a little tricky, but I'll keep rolling these edges over and then running the zigzag through there. I'll take a measurement here from where the godet begins down to the hem to see how long my ruffle needs to hang. I could also bring the tip of the ruffle down a bit. The length of the ruffle, if I hang it from the peak, needs to be about 27 inches long. And I want the ruffle to be fairly wide, about 5 inches. So I'm not going to use a pattern. If you want to make a cascading ruffle, there's 2 ways to do it. There's a spiral where the ruffle gets thin at one end and widens as you go around. Or you can simply make a circle like a donut pattern with a circle inside of it and cut a slice out of it, and you'll have a ruffle that's the same width. But as it hangs, it still gets a nice cascade. So that's the type I'm going to use. So as I said, I could cut a donut out of a piece of paper and use it as a pattern, but I've done so many of these I can just generally do it freeform by marking what I'd like to do on the fabric here. So I can simply make a loop. And I'm just going to do this right now to demonstrate. But I would take my 5 inches off of my 27 so that when I hang it, it doesn't hang too far. And that would give me my center of the donut. So then from there, I would take 5 inches out to make my other circle. Now I could mark this with pins, I could mark this with a piece of chalk, I could use a piece of soap and simply go around and mark it if I'm going to do it freehand like this. If you have a pattern, obviously you'd lay your pattern and cut it out. I have this laid out to a double thickness so that I can get 2 ruffles out of it. So we'll take here, as I said, I'm going to basically freeform this. I'm going to lay this in a circle at the proper length that I need. Put some marks on there. Measure out 5 inches. And I'll just measure out a few places. And then I'll be able to cut my circle. I'm used to cutting these out, so I don't really need to use a pattern. I have my donut cut out here. Just a circle in the center. That was about a 22-inch circle, because I have to count the width here also. That's going to be hanging down. And I have two layers here, so I'll have 2 ruffles to work with. What I'm thinking that I might do is take the inside of the donut. This is the circle on the inside, and run a seam there. So I'll put these two together. Run a seam down 6 to 8 inches, or maybe a little further than that, so that these ruffles can split apart, but they'll be attached, and then the bottom can hang free. Then later, when we have more time, if she wants, I can fill out the entire skirt. I do have more material here, and this is an easy material to match. It's easy to do a black chiffon. There wasn't enough at the store where I picked this material up, but I can easily get more. And we can fill out the entire dress if we like. The attachment right at the bottom of your bodice, and then I'm going to pin it down lower. Don't forget to press or steam the float. There's always some wrinkles in there from the way it's wrapped onto the bolt. The ruffles then are sewn on, and the float is detachable. This can come off. And also, we can take this off of the gauntlet. Wear the gauntlet's also without the float.